My name is Valerie Hannon. I'm from London in England. I'm here really as a proud trustee of Apps for Good in the UK, but also a extremely energetic supporter of the Apps for Good model worldwide. Maybe I should explain why that's the case. I'm a writer, a thought leader in education, and I work internationally. And like many people, I've been working very hard over the last few years to try to bring about change in education at a much greater scale and at a much faster rate. Many of us across the world now believe that schools are not well fitted to the challenges of the 21st century, and that we need to change, and that we need to change fast. And I think that the people who feel that most strongly often are learners themselves, students, who frequently are, to be frank, bored in school, do not feel that school fits their needs, even if after the long months of lockdown in COVID, they were keen to get back to school, but not for the perhaps desirable reasons as teachers saw it, but because they missed their friends, they missed personal interaction, they missed indeed meeting their teachers face to face. They missed physical activities like sport and performing, arts, and many other things. But what they did not miss was what is too often a very boring menu of having knowledge poked and transmitted to them, and teachers really behaving in a rather broadcasting mode. Now, I don't want to caricature it, many teachers are doing very wonderful work, but too many teachers feel constrained by systems across the world that are obsessed with a form of qualification that excludes too many, doesn't test what we need, and is much too narrow in its focus. We are entering an age of disruption. We are entering an age of hyper-change, change at an extraordinary speed and penetration to all our lives. And nowhere is this more clearly demonstrated, I think, than in the climate emergency. But I think too that COVID itself has shown what an era of change we are in, and how we're going to have to adapt flexibly, change our habits, and rethink, I have to say, our relationship with the natural world, because otherwise we are going to see more zoogenic pandemics like the one we have just been through, indeed are still going through. So change is what we need, and one of the reasons why I'm such a supporter of Apps for Good is that it is one of the organisations across the world who are bringing to life a completely new model, really, for how teaching and learning can be conducted. First of all, it relates to how the role of teacher is changing, how the teacher can become much more of a facilitator of learning and a guide. It demonstrates too how important a role technology can play. And one of the important things I think that Apps for Good is doing is turning young people from being just consumers of technology into producers of it. And that is a really important development that I think we all need to get up behind. The third issue is that of relevance. And here's the Apps for Good piece that I feel so strongly about. What it enables young people to do is to engage with the problems of their communities, large and small, and think about how they themselves can take a role in finding fixes, finding solutions for those problems. And then the final reason why I'm such a passionate supporter of Apps for Good is that it enables young people to experience a sense of agency, of choice, of deciding what it is that they're interested in, what they want to inquire into, know more about, and become expert in, and also feeling that they can make a difference. So the issue of encouraging agency is really important. It can be done, and I think the projects that Apps for Good supports demonstrates that work in practice. So I'm interested in Apps for Good not just as a little project on the side, a nice initiative to add to what schools are already doing, but rather as something of a Trojan horse, the beginnings of a much wider change that can affect all of our schools and all of our systems. And that's around relevance, around agency, bringing schools into addressing the major issues of our time, and most of all, enabling young people to make a contribution to their solution here and now, but also prepare them for the challenges that are ahead, because those challenges are monumental. They have never been faced by humanity before. And we need a new generation of young people who are brave and enabled and empowered to contribute towards their solution. Otherwise, our future looks very bleak indeed. So I commend the work that Apps for Good Portugal is doing, and I'm going to carry on supporting it for as long as I'm able.